Once upon a time, in a certain village of Umueze, the sun dipped low over Umueze, casting long shadows across the quiet village. It was an evening like any other, or so it seemed. The air was filled with the noise of women returning from the market and the distant sound of children's laughter. Yet, something felt different, like an unseen tension that hung in the air. Nobody could explain it, but they would soon discover why. Adaku was a young woman admired for her beauty and grace. She was the daughter of the late Chief Nwafor, and her family's name carried great respect in Umueze. But Adaku was not one to rest on her family's legacy. She was ambitious, determined to make her own mark. Her father's death had left her with a mystery, one that had haunted her dreams for years. Before he passed, Chief Nwafor had summoned Adaku to his bedside. His voice was weak, but his words were clear. Adaku, there is a secret buried in our family's past. If you are brave enough to seek it, you will find the truth, but be warned, the truth is not without its price. Adaku had tried to ask him what he meant, but he had closed his eyes and passed away moments later. Since then, she had been consumed by curiosity. Her mother, Ugodia, refused to speak of it, brushing off her questions with warnings to leave the past alone. But Adaku's restless spirit would not allow her to ignore it. One fateful evening, while sorting through her father's old belongings, Adaku found a faded envelope tucked inside a wooden chest. Inside was a letter written in her father's handwriting. It was cryptic, mentioning a hidden box and a name she had never heard before, Dikeora. The letter's last line sent chills down her spine. Find Dikeora, and you will understand everything. Adaku's journey began that night. She confided in her childhood friend, Chike, a young farmer with a sharp mind and an adventurous spirit. Chike was skeptical but agreed to help. Together, they began asking questions around the village. Most of the elders reacted with discomfort at the mention of Dikeora, some even refusing to speak. It became clear that this name was tied to something the village preferred to forget. Why does everyone act like we're stirring up a hornet's nest? Adaku asked Chike as they sat under the udala tree one evening. Maybe we are, Chike replied, his voice tinged with unease. But if your father wanted you to find this Dikeora, there must be a good reason. Their persistence eventually led them to an old man named Ogbuefi Udo, who lived on the outskirts of the village. He was known for his knowledge of ancient village lore. When they mentioned Dikeora, Ogbuefi's expression darkened. Dikeora is not a name to be spoken lightly, he said. But if you truly wish to know, come back tomorrow. I will tell you what I can. The following day, Ogbuefi revealed a story that left Adaku and Chike speechless. Dikeora, he explained, was a warrior from a neighboring village who had come to Umueze many years ago. He had been a friend of Chief Nwafor in their youth, but something had caused a rift between them. The details were murky, but it was said that Dikeora had entrusted Chief Nwafor with a box containing something of great value and great danger. What was in the box? Adaku asked, leaning forward. Ogbuefi shook his head. No one knows for sure. Some say it was gold. Others say it was something far more powerful, something that should never be unearthed. That night, Adaku's dreams were filled with images of the mysterious box. She saw herself opening it, only to be engulfed by a blinding light. She woke up in a cold sweat, determined more than ever to find it. Days turned into weeks as Adaku and Chike followed the clues in her father's letter. Each step brought them closer to the truth, but also deeper into danger. Strange things began to happen. They felt watched, and on more than one occasion, they narrowly escaped accidents that seemed too coincidental to be random. Their journey eventually led them to a dense forest on the outskirts of Umueze. According to the letter, the box was buried near an ancient iroko tree. As the dog, the air grew heavy, and an unnatural silence fell over the forest. When their spades finally struck wood, Adaku's heart rest. They uncovered a small, ornate box carved with intricate patterns. "This is it," Adaku whispered, her hands trembling as she lifted the box. Before she could open it, a voice rang out, startling them both. "Stop!" They turned to see Ugodia standing at the edge of the clearing, her face pale but resolute. "Mama," Adaku stammered, "what are you doing here?" Ugodia's eyes were filled with a mix of fear and sorrow. "I knew you wouldn't let it go. That box, it contains a curse. Your father took it to protect this family, but it has already cost us so much." Adaku hesitated, her fingers hovering over the lid. "What do you mean?" Before Ugodia could explain, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a man, tall and imposing, his face obscured by the darkness. "Step away from the box," the man commanded, his voice cold and threatening. Adaku and Chike exchanged nervous glances. "Who are you?" Chike demanded. The man stepped closer, revealing a scarred face and piercing eyes. "I am the keeper of what lies within that box. You were warned not to disturb it." The tension was palpable as Adaku realized they were caught in something far bigger than they had imagined. The truth about Dikeora, the box, and her father's legacy hung in the balance. As the man reached for the box, Adaku made a split-second decision that would change everything. She opened it. A blinding light engulfed the clearing, and the air was filled with an otherworldly hum. When the light faded, the man was gone, and the box lay empty in Adaku's hands. But she felt different, as if a part of her had been awakened. Ugodia fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Adaku, what have you done?" Adaku stood tall, her voice steady. "I've uncovered the truth. Now, it's time to face it." What lay ahead for Adaku and her village was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the mystery of the box was only the beginning. The once tranquil village of Umueze was now alive with whispers and fear. News of Adaku's discovery spread quickly, though no one dared speak of it openly. The elders convened in hurried, secretive meetings, their expressions grim as they deliberated over what had been unleashed. Adaku, however, was not afraid. She could feel a shift within herself, as though the box had passed something on to her: knowledge, power, or perhaps a curse. Chike, ever loyal, stood by her side, though even he couldn't hide his unease. "Adaku, are you sure about this?" he asked one evening as they walked along the village path. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow over the surroundings. "That man, that light, what if your mother is right? What if it's something dangerous?" Adaku stopped and looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. "Dangerous or not, I can't run from it. My father wanted me to find this. There has to be a reason." The following night, strange occurrences began in the village. Livestock were found dead without any explanation, their eyes glazed as if they'd seen something horrifying. Children woke screaming from vivid nightmares of a blinding light. And then there was the woman, Adaobi, an elder's wife, who claimed to have seen a man with piercing eyes and a scarred face wandering near the market square. "It's him," Chike whispered to Adaku when they heard the news. "The man from the forest." Adaku nodded, her resolve hardening. "Then it's time to confront him." But finding him was easier said than done. For days, they searched, questioning anyone who might have seen the stranger, but he seemed to have vanished. Adaku's mother, Ugodia, grew increasingly desperate, begging her daughter to let the matter rest. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," Ugodia cried, grabbing Adaku by the shoulders. "Your father spent his life trying to protect you from this. Then why didn't he destroy the box?" Adaku shot back, her voice breaking with frustration. Why did he keep it if it was so dangerous? Ugodia's silence spoke volumes, and Adaku knew she wouldn't get any answers from her mother. That night, she and Chike returned to the forest, determined to retrace their steps. They stood under the ancient iroko tree, the place where it all began. What now? Chike asked, his voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. Adaku closed her eyes, letting the cool night air wash over her. She felt a pull, an invisible thread guiding her deeper into the forest. This way, she said, her voice distant. They followed the invisible trail until they reached a clearing bathed in silver moonlight. At its center stood the scarred man. He was waiting for them. You shouldn't have opened it, he said, his voice calm but menacing. Do you know what you've unleashed? Adaku stepped forward, her fear replaced by defiance. No, but I intend to find out. Who are you? And what was in that box? The man's gaze softened, just for a moment. I am Dikeora, he said, and the revelation sent a shockwave through Adaku. This was the name her father had written in the letter, the name that had haunted her for weeks. But you're supposed to be, Adaku's voice faltered. Dead. Dikeora chuckled darkly. Not dead. Bound. That box was my prison, placed there by your father to keep me from destroying this village. And now, thanks to you, I am free. Chike stepped protectively in front of Adaku, his fists clenched. If you think you're going to harm her or anyone else, you'll have to go through me. Dikeora raised a hand, and Chike was thrown backward by an unseen force. Adaku ran to his side, her heart pounding with fear and anger. What do you want? She demanded, tears streaming down her face. I want what was taken from me, Dikeora replied. Your father betrayed me. He used the power of the box to bind me, to silence me. Now, I will reclaim what is mine. Adaku stood, her hands balled into fists. You say my father betrayed you, but he was a good man. Whatever he did to protect us. If you want revenge, take it out on me, not the village. Dikeora tilted his head, studying her. You're braver than I expected. But bravery won't save you. As he raised his hand again, a sudden burst of light emanated from Adaku. It was the same blinding light from the box, but this time, it came from within her. Dikeora recoiled, shielding his eyes. You, he hissed, his voice filled with shock and fury. You carry its power. Adaku didn't understand what was happening, but she could feel the energy coursing through her, ancient and unyielding. She stepped forward, her voice steady. Leave this village and never return. Dikeora hesitated, his confidence shaking. For a moment, it seemed as though he might comply. But then he smiled, a wicked, knowing smile. This isn't over, he said, his voice echoing as he disappeared into the shadows. Adaku collapsed to the ground, exhausted but alive. Chike rushed to her side, his face a mixture of relief and awe. What just happened? He asked. Adaku shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I don't know, but I think I understand now. The box wasn't just a cause, it was a gift. My father wanted me to find it because he knew I would need it. The days that followed were quiet, but Adaku knew it was only the calm before the storm. Dikeora would return, and when he did, she would be ready. For now, she had a village to protect and a legacy to uphold. And so, the story of Adaku and the cursed box became one that the people of Umoeze would tell for generations, a tale of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his daughter. Thank you for watching. Please, like this video, share and subscribe to my channel.